Kempek sat overlooking the forward camp of the Elves. His mongrels had discovered them en route to the herd's gathering that the beast lord Bozcog had called. Kempek hated Bozcog, and had been looking for a means to challenge him in council for command of the herd. The Minotaur had support, but needed something extra to prove himself to the others, and he believed his mongrels had found what he needed. The head of a knife-ear noble and some captured slaves would be a fitting show of his strength. "King!" the Alpha Bull called on his way back down from the overlook. "Yes, Lord," the champion replied. "I believe the time is right to strike the pathetic elves. Make preparations. Our herd shall feast upon elf flesh and bathe in the knife-ear's blood." "As you command," the Minotaur responded as he called for Kempek's pet, and the trees began to part, followed by the sound of a hideous scream. Alright, so we have another narrative battle report for you guys. We are having Skip's Beast Herds face off against Michael's Highborn Elves in a 4,000 point game with the breakthrough scenario. So scoring units have to get into the enemy's deployment zone for the extra points. Let's go ahead and get into deployment, starting with the Highborn Elves. Alright, over on the left of this picture, we start with 2 of the Sea Guard Reapers. Then there is a Lion Chariot. Up front is a unit of 10 Highborn Lancers with full command. Behind them is a unit of 20 Lion's Guard with full command. And with the Lion's Guard, there is Lord Gregar of House Lionsbane. His commander, serving as a general, a Royal Huntsman with Mithril Mail and a great weapon. Then the next unit over is a unit of 20 Sea Guard with Musician and Standard. In there is Lord Fenry of House Whitethorn, the Battle Standard Bearer with Shield, Heavy Armor, and the Spear of Blazing Dawn. Then on the other side of the ruins, there is another 20 Sea Guard with Musician and Standard. And with them is Alora Victus, the mage, who is an apprentice mage, but with 4 spells out of Pyromancy, and the Book of Miladus. I think that's how it's pronounced. And then holding down his far right flank is the Sky Sloop with the Sky Reaper. Okay, so starting on the Beast Herd's left, we have a unit of 3 raiding chariots. Then is a unit of 25-man unit of Longhorn Herd. They have full command with the Totem Bearer of the Gnarled Hide Totem and the Banner of Discipline. Then we've got a big old unit of 30 Wild Horn. They have full command, the Totem Bearer with the Bloodied Horn Totem, the Gleaming Icon, and throwing weapons. They have paired weapons for their primary weapon. And with them is the Soothsayer, who is a Master Wizard level 4 to Shamanism. And his BSB is also in there. I can't find him on this list, though. Oh, yeah, here he is. Beast Chieftain, Battle Standard Bearer with, looks like heavy armor and shield, and the Crown of Horns in with that. Next to that is a unit of 6 Minotaurs with full command and... Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the one without any upgrades. They just have paired weapons. And then next to that is another 6 Minotaurs with full command and the Stalker Standard. And with them is his general, Kempek, the Alpha Bull Minotaur Warlord. He has the Blessed Sword, Armor of Fortune, and Potion of Swiftness. And then you can see off to the side in the corner there, he has a unit of the 10 Mongrel Raider archers that he's going to be using as ambushing troops. They went back and forth a little bit in terms of deployment, but then Michael ended up getting the turn first, so we will go into turn 1 for the Highborn Elves. And the Highborn Elves are playing kind of cautious. Both of the Sea Guard units claim the fences at their camp, and other than that, there's not a whole lot of movement. He doesn't want to block up too many lines of fire with his units before his Reaper bolt thrower things can go. And he's sneaking the sloop around the other side. Pretty simple, but effective. And then goes and enveloping embers rocks the shit out of this wild horn unit. He ends up cutting the unit in half basically, which was better than he should have done mathematically. But yeah, 15 dead out of the Beastman's main block before they even get to swing. Not good. Then the fireball ends up doing 2 wounds to the Minotaur unit next to it. Then they go into shooting, and the Sea Guard here end up finishing off the 1 wounded Minotaur and killing another one. And then the other Sea Guard unit does a single wound to the rightmost Minotaur unit. So we go to Beast Herd's turn 1. Skip starts putting pressure on the right flank here, bringing up the Bestigors, or not the Bestigors, the Longhorns now, and the Chariots. I think, just given where the deployment is, his Chariots are a little too far away, just because, I mean, they can't march, so it's going to take a while for him to get to anything. And then over here, he's bringing the right flank in as well. So the idea, I think, is to draw Michael's forces into the middle and then sweep in with the 2 flanking forces. So I guess we'll see where that goes. So then during Magic, he gets Break the Spirit off on the Lancers here, hoping that the Dangerous Terrain 2 will keep them from running in the middle until the Beastmen get ready. But he gets it off with a miscast and loses the spell and 3 of his Wild Horns to the miscast 12, I think it was. So then we go into Highborn Elves turn 2, and starting things off, the Lion Chariot charges the Wild Horns. They stand and shoot, only get 1 wound through, and then the Lancers decide they're going to go join the party. They charge, he chooses to stand, and the Lancers actually lose half their entire unit. 5 Lancers die to the Dangerous Terrain from Break the Spirit, but he ends up getting both into the unit, and this could be very, very bad. Here, the Lions Guard begin to push up to sort of get ready for whatever else is coming. And the sloop sweeps around behind his lines. You also see in the forest there, his wizard runs out of the forest, or out of the Sea Guard unit into the forest, with the idea that the Sea Guard are probably going to get charged by Minotaurs next turn, and he wants to keep his magic. And I think he holds off magic this turn, so he doesn't have to worry about anything at the moment. But then shooting starts. The Sky Sloop kills 1 more of the Minotaurs. Some of the archers put some more pain into the second Minotaur unit. And the final archer group takes out another Minotaur from the rightmost unit. Or, I guess, top from this orientation. So he's lost 3 Minotaurs from this shooting. The top unit is actually still pretty good. It's got the Alpha Bull and 4 other Minotaurs in it, so he's still probably got a lot of pain to deal there. The bottom unit, however, is down to 2 or 3 models, so he could be getting a little lackluster. And then over here, the Sea Guard Reapers open up on the Chariots, but only manage to squeak 3 wounds through. And then we go into combat, and yeah, the Chariot takes another wound. 1 of the Lancers dies, but the few remaining Wild Horns that are left there just get beat. The characters and a wild horn or two are still alive, but they auto break and get run down by the chariot. Uh, so Chariot's up on the hill, and the Lancers turn to face the Minotaurs. Beast Herd's turn 2 starts with the Chariots charging the one Reaper, and they've set themselves up so that when they kill that, they'll overrun into the other one. He also got a successful charge with that whole Minotaur unit on the Spearmen, and we're all thinking that's just gonna be dead Spearmen. Okay, I guess this is actually a better image of that. I don't know why I took two. But yeah, so he got in there, no problem, even though it doesn't look like it because they can't push together because of their weapons. And he fails to ambush in his archers, which is actually the first time since we started playing Ninth Age that any of us have failed an ambush roll. So, bad luck. Uh, no magic, no shooting, because his wizard's dead and he's got no other shooting units. So we go into combat. The chariots obviously destroy the Seaguard Reaper and overrun into the other one. Over here, the Lancers do fall, but they take out a Minotaur before they go. So that was kind of suck. The Minotaurs have to overrun, and they end up just bumping into the side of the Longhorns. The Longhorns turn to face the oncoming Lions Guard. And over here, holy crap! The Minotaurs do absolutely crush the Elves, but they go Simo. And as the Elves are dying, they get through 7 wounds on the Minotaurs, so that these Strength 3 Elves end up killing 3 Minotaurs, because it was like 2 full Minotaurs and the last wound to kill the other one. Um, and that hurts. I mean, at this point, he just doesn't have enough Minotaurs over there to really make them combat effective against what Michael still has on the board. But they're frenzied, so they have to overrun to the point you see them. Over here we go to the Highborn Elves turn 3, and both the Spearmen, or the Sea Guard rather, try and charge the flank of the Minotaurs. They fail by rolling double ones, so he comes up an inch from the wall, or the fence. And then the Lions Guard slam right into the front of the Longhorns. Back here, the chariot turns around so it faces the back of the Longhorns. And the sloop moves up a little bit on this flank. During magic, he ends up getting flaming swords off on the Lion's Guard, which means they're swinging. I don't even think he needed it, because he's already swinging against Strength 2. Or he's swinging on a 2 up for this, but either way, it's not going to help. The sloop does some shooting and brings that Minotaur unit down to 1 Minotaur. Combat starts with the chariot. The chariot destroys the other bolt thrower and turns to face inward to the back of the Lion's Guard. But the Lion's Guard absolutely demolish the Longhorns. He kills like better than 2 whole ranks out of them, and as you can see, he only took about 5 wounds in return with what was left. I don't know that they auto broke, but they might have needed to roll double ones or something like that, or 2 or 3, something like that. But it doesn't matter. They break, they get run down, and it is at this point that the Beastmen surrender the game. Lord Gregar looked over the bodies of his sea guard, who had been overrun and killed by the Minotaur horde. The bodies of both elf and beast lay bloodied and broken. Gather them. See their bodies find rest in the Lionsbane hills. I thought only Lions Guard were permitted to be buried there, Alora questioned, seeing an oddity in the Lord's placement of commoners where warriors rested. Gregar simply looked at her, an annoyed look on his face. His guard began to gather the bodies, wrapping them in their own lion cloaks and bathing their spears in oil. They fought and died as warriors. It was a good death. With that, the guards began to pick up the bodies, being careful and kind to them as possible. As the bodies were being placed on the backs of the various carts, Lord Fenry walked up. "Commander, are we to pursue the fleeing beasts, or maintain our forward position?" Gregor simply patted Fenry on the shoulder. "We maintain our position. Prince Victus commanded us to maintain our post here. We are the forward guard of his army, and we will hold." Gregor sat his axe on the wall nearby. "Let all who wish to face us come. We will maintain our oaths, and face our foes with the strength and honor of lions." Alright, so yeah, this is a victory for the Highborn Elves by surrender in top of turn 3. This was a just absolutely brutal, vicious fight. But at the end of the day, I think it ultimately came down to magic. Pyromancy is really good. And Michael basically cutting the one Wildhorn unit in half from the get-go did not help whatsoever. And the fact that that one Sea Guard unit killed half of the Minotaur unit before they died was just a little ridiculous. But, I mean, the Highborn Elves did what they had to do. They got in there. He shot down and thinned down the Minotaurs so that they weren't all that big of a threat. And ended up bringing... he thinned down enough with what he had so that by the time he brought the Lion's Guard in, they were really just kind of this irresistible force that just absolutely slaughtered the Beastmen. Longhorns. So, all in all, it was a very interesting game in that the Beastman didn't really ambush anything this time. He was kind of trying to see how they work in terms of just presenting a force in front of them. He put a lot of points in the Minotaurs, which in hindsight may have been a mistake. Maybe he should have done some more ambushing. It's hard to say. It's hard. I mean, with as much shooting as the Highborn Elves brought here, they were able to put just pepper the world with enough shots that the no armor beastmen were really having a hard time hanging on. I find the chariot group that the beastmen get interesting, but I think he was so focused on getting them as a flanking unit, he placed them off to where they really couldn't accomplish anything but kill a couple of bolt throwers. I think if he had tried to put them a little closer to where the Lion's Guard was, he could have gotten in there and some of those impact hits could have helped maybe. It's kind of hard to say at this point in hindsight, but all in all, it was a fairly enjoyable game. The first of 2 we played that night, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this one, and I'll have another one up after a few days. So one last thing I want to mention before we go. I have started a Patreon account. I know some of the other YouTubers are doing it. I decided why not. It is just at Patreon, Materum. I'll put the link in the video description. If anyone feels like they would want to contribute, that is certainly would be well received. I also have a few rewards for donations set up. If anybody wants to donate money and have ways of influencing or adding their own characters to our narrative, those are some options. So definitely go check it out. If you're interested in donating, certainly do that. I'll be happy to acknowledge anyone who chooses to do so. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.